Hello and welcome back to the Inside Java podcast, the podcast about everything Java, brought to you by the team at Oracle that builds Java. My name is Nicolai Parlog, and this episode of Ask the Architects is a short conversation with Mikael Vidsted, lead of the Java Virtual Machine team at Oracle, that we originally live-streamed from JavaOne in March 2026. The topic is the recently resurrected project Detroit, an OpenJDK effort to ease interop with Python and JavaScript. We discussed Detroit's architectural approach, particularly in contrast to Nashorn, where the integrations of JavaScript and Python will be similar and where they will differ. We talk about version selection and his hopes for a project timeline. Enjoy the episode.
So Detroit, I heard that name before. I'm not just referencing the city.
That's right.
Was there like a...
There may have been a project in the past that we called Detroit that actually existed in OpenJDK for a couple of years. I think it was announced in 2018 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so we actually started working on this many, many years ago. And then we decided our priorities were elsewhere and we were trying out some other things. But then 2 weeks ago now, I guess we
Something
did
along those lines, yeah.
the call for votes for reopening this project again. So it's exciting times.
Okay, so what is Detroit about?
Yeah, so Project Detroit is all about enabling you to run script engines or execute scripts that are foreign to Java from Java. So basically you can think, the canonical case maybe would be JavaScript, or for that sake, Python. So you have some kind of application or code that you have in JavaScript or in Python that you want to run, and you want to do that seamlessly or easily from Java.
Yeah.
So obviously you can run this as a separate service, another process somewhere else, but we want you to enable you to run this inside of Java as well, or from Java as well.
Yeah.
So that's
so that interop and data transfer is easier, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So, yes.
Is there some lore on the name? What's the connection between Detroit and JavaScript?
Okay, so I actually learned this. John Rose taught me this not 2 months ago, I think, something like
Okay.
that. So it turns out that in the end, what we're doing here is really we're leveraging the fact that somebody already did a really good script engine for JavaScript.
Yeah.
It's called V8.
Yeah.
Right? That's the script engine that effectively gets used in like the de facto standard, let's say, JavaScript engine, right? V8, you can tell by the name that there's an auto industry reference here, right? And Detroit happens to be a city where a lot of autos get produced, I guess, cars.
Present tense, yes, is it?
Still, you tell me, but yes,
okay.
At least the association is still there.
is definitely there. Okay, you mentioned V8 as a JavaScript engine. I might have just said Nashorn.
That's
so
right.
Because we already didn't we already do this?
We did. As a matter of fact, back in the days, we had something called Rhino before Nashorn as well. So this goes back 10 years ago or so, I guess. And so when we started up Detroit a number of years ago, back in 2018, one of the things we had realized at the time was that keeping Nashorn, which was our script engine implemented in Java at the time.
So it's a JavaScript engine, right?
Yes, a JavaScript engine implemented in Java. So keeping that up to date and working with the latest standards, the JavaScript standards, took us a lot of time. It was complicated work. So we spent a lot of time doing that. And that's not really a value add to Java or to the JavaScript engine itself. It was just literally to keep up with the standards.
Yeah.
And so at the time we realized that, well, this is not going to work so well. So that's why we sort of started looking into Detroit and doing it this other way instead. So just like, who does a JavaScript engine? Well, if there is one, can't we use that instead? Like, after all, that's an industry-grade JavaScript engine, so let's just pick up and use that. And then almost do as little as we need or can to just make that work. And that was Detroit, and that is still Detroit to this day when we've now rebooted it yesterday, I guess.
Yeah.
Technically. I've been working on this the last few months, so for me it goes back a bit more than that, but we announced it yesterday.
So, but what is that work then? Maybe describe that a little bit, because when you said Nashorn was a Java implementation of a JavaScript engine, then it's obvious what the work is there. It's just like, doing all the work that an engine like that needs to creating all the code that needs to run there. But you said you want to do as little as possible on top of V8. What is some of the things that you need to create in Project Detroit to achieve the goals that you set out to?
Yes, absolutely. So let's see if I can get this right now. In Java, in the specification, there is something called Java scripting. And it actually is a module called Java scripting, and it has a package called javax.script.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the API through which we expose script engines. It's agnostic to the exact to the exact script engine you use in the background, but one of the ones that you can plug in, for example, would be a JavaScript engine.
Yeah.
It could be Python, it could be something something else. And so what we do in Detroit, and obviously this is early days for the project, whatever I'm about to say now is what the code does today, and that may well change over time, right?
Yeah.
So we're still exploring. But what we do today is effectively we implement the back end of that. So we expose a script engine through that API.
Yeah.
And what that concretely means is that V8 in the background exposes header files, right? C++ happens to be a header files to access the V8 functionality. And we have Java code, so we need the bridge there between those two, right? And effectively, this is sort of, so we're not using Panama directly, but indirectly we are, right? This is especially true for the Python engine that we have, which leverages the C Python engine.
Yeah.
Can get back to Python later, but we're doing the bridging code that is required to take us from Java to whatever the script engine is.
Yeah.
In its V8's case, that's C++.
Yep.
And again, trying to really minimize what we do there. No magic, no sophistication if we can avoid it, right? So that's basically it.
Okay, so you're creating this wrapper to implement the JavaScripting API. What are some capabilities that scripting API affords me?
Yes, the API is very straightforward and simple in itself. You can look up a script engine by name. You can create an engine. There is a way to pass in what's called in the API bindings. So effectively, you set up variables with key value pairs, sort of, and those get exposed to the script engine, so to JavaScript, to your JavaScript code, like variables, right? So if you set up a binding that is called foo and it has the value 42, then when you execute your JavaScript code, there will be a variable called foo and it has the value 42.
That would be like a global variable, yeah? So I can use it from the root of the program to access.
You can set it up in a few different ways depending on. And I guess I'll say for completeness also that it can also support calling back to Java. So if you, for example, make one of the variables a callback, a method on the Java level.
Okay.
Then in JavaScript, if you evaluate that or call that method, it will actually call back to Java.
Okay.
You won't see this. It won't be obvious in the JavaScript code, right? But it will in the background.
Okay.
So it goes both ways.
Okay, so you could basically thread your program flow through like in and out the engine. That probably has implications for at least performance, maybe also maintainability that I'm not sure about. But
of course, right? There are trade-offs, and of course, as long as you stay on the Java side, we promise you good performance. As long as you stay on the V8 or JavaScript side, or in general the script engine side, yes, you'll get good performance there because those are the highly performant script engines for the respective languages.
Yeah.
But the functionality is there and works really well. Yeah. What I'm so happy to see, frankly, is how little time we've spent on this and how well it's already working.
That's nice.
We already have plenty of teams internally at Oracle who have tried this out and they're reporting that it's working well. So it's really nice to see.
Yeah, good. So that covered all of that for JavaScript, and I got from what you said that we've been involved in that, and that Python is a little bit further, like not quite that clear yet. But do you see like all of that going similarly to what the work has been done with V8?
Yes, and what I will say about Python is that it's both easier because it turns out that the C Python engine that we leverage in the background has a C interface. Yeah, and if you know your Panama already has JExtract functionality to extract C interfaces and surface that to Java as pure Java code. Yeah, so we can actually do that. So that's the easy part about the Python engine. The more challenging part is that the API keeps changing. It's not as stable as the V8 interface is. So that means that we actually have to have different, and again, this could change throughout the project's lifetime. But right now we need to have different implementations for different versions of Python.
Okay.
And there's another reason for why we have that, which is depending on, Python is much more, how should I put it? You manage it on the operating system level. Right, so you install it on the operating system level, and you expect to be able to manage and install packages on the operating system level. So we need to adjust to and adapt to and use what you have on your operating system level.
Okay.
And since the API is different between different Python versions, we need to have versions that then can target the different actively used Python versions.
Would that difference in their APIs pass all the way through in some kind of difference in the Java API? Or so the JavaScripting API is always the same and it abstracts away the exact...
Exactly. Okay. So the JavaScript API in itself is agnostic to the engine and doesn't surface that. What I will say is that at least for the moment, we are also surfacing some additional APIs on the side. This is true both for the V8 case and for Python, where you can access more specific things for V8 or JavaScript and Python. Again, all of this is subject to change over time as we polish up and maybe get a clearer picture for what people actually depend on and use and how we can optimize that and provide the best experience.
Because I'm guessing then the next thing is also is subject to change, or maybe even just clearly undecided yet. Although would have given half of the answer already when we talk about Python, because I'm wondering, and it's actually one of the things that I also saw other people wondering online when this was announced, is how does it play out with like version selection, right? You have, so if, for example, the JDK version would dictate the V8 version, then that would mean now I have to balance my entire Java ecosystem dependency tree with the Java JDK version. And then also already, since I'm apparently calling to scripting into JavaScript engine, I have JavaScript code running that has probably its own dependencies, which also depend on the runtime, arguably even way more so than in Java.
That's right.
Can I at least pick these somewhat independently or entirely independently of one another? Meaning the in this case, let's talk V8 and JDK versions.
Yes. So the at the moment, and again, things can change over time, right? I stop adding the disclaimers at this point, but
yes, from this point forward, everything
is exactly flexible and subject to change. Yeah. So at the moment, our belief here is that this will not be included in the JDK itself. So it will be surfaced as it will. You can download it and sort of get hold of it as an artifact on the side. So separate bundle, separate, maybe it's a Maven artifact, for example, right? Yeah. It will get surfaced through the scripting API, but it's separate from that. Version separately, handled separately, its life cycle is different. So that way you can then choose, you don't have to tie it to the JDK version, if I call it that, right?
Yeah.
You can pick up and use, the separate version of Detroit. And again, right now, you actually need a different downloadable of Detroit, the Detroit artifact itself, for Python 3.12, 3.13, or 3.14. They're separate, distinct implementations, sort of.
Yeah. And on that front, on the Python front, you already said that you want to use what's on the operating system.
Yes, exactly.
So, okay.
So that's maybe to clarify. So on the Python side, we depend on the C Python engine that gets installed on the operating system. In the JavaScript case, we actually bundle, or the plan is to bundle V8 as part of the Detroit bundle itself.
I mean, I'm a little bit out of my wheelhouse here, but I mean, that's true in my operating system, right? I'm not sure whether I have a global Node version installed, to be honest. I know that I have a global Python version, which speaks to what you're saying, right? Like that's just common, especially on Linux operating systems. So many things are built on Python, so I think there's barely any at least user space Linux out there that doesn't have Python. I'm not sure about like server backend kind of distributions.
Yeah. But I think
and then I'm not sure whether I have a global Node to install.
Yeah, you may have. So that would be the analogy on the JavaScript side. Node, I think, is sort of the Python on the JavaScript side.
So is there any idea to do that, like, we just use what the operating system has kind of thing as well, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, we did have some early prototyping of Node. We chose not to include that, and we'll see if that's of interest and valuable, and if that's something we can and want to support, right? It all depends on the end on value and maintenance cost and all of those things. But theoretically, that's an option as well.
Okay. So as a closing question, I want to try to ask you when, but I'm trying to put it in a way that gives me a high chance of at least some answer, which is, do you have an idea of what to expect, let's say this year? We will expect, the project was rekindled, so probably there's going to be a mailing list being set up, and there's going to be, the project website is going to be renewed and whatever. Like this organizational stuff that is early on the start of the project. Then often we see some design documents or some documents of intent, of requirements. Do you think that we will see stuff like that throughout the year? I'm guessing what do you hope? Not promise.
Yep. Exactly. No promises.
What do you hope happens in 2026 in Detroit?
Yes. So I'm super excited, first of all, that we have open sourced Detroit. So it is now available through OpenJDK, right? I believe the mailing list has been set up. I know that the GitHub repositories are there, right? So the first version has been published.
Nice.
That obviously doesn't mean that it's production ready and, go deploy it. But that said, the other thing I'll add is what I alluded to earlier, which is it is working really well, right? The teams that we have, that have taken this for a spin internally, and what we've seen as well is, like, a lot of stuff just works surprisingly well. And I mean, part of that is the reason where we're already using a proven script engine implementation, right? Both on the JavaScript and Python side, but also that the amount of stuff where the code we're providing is so small that, So obviously there are going to be improvements. Obviously we're going to evolve that over time and polish it, but a lot of stuff is already working. But I certainly expect that we'll be moving forward with, as you said, documentation, design, getting sort of the open source work going for real, not just the initial seeding of it, and then we'll see, right, how far we can get. But again, a lot of stuff is already working well, so that makes me very hopeful that we'll see something sooner rather than later.
If the wider community wants to speed the process along, what would be a way to participate/contribute?
I would say, so we're looking at publishing at some point. We'll see exactly when that is, from Oracle early access binaries. Meanwhile, you can obviously build this yourself. So, clone the repository and follow the instructions. There is a small README that describes how to build. It's especially complicated, I'm going to say, on the sort of the JavaScript side.
Yeah.
It's having worked on it for as long as I have, it can be either trivial or very complicated. But in any case, follow the instructions. I think you'll be good. Again, at some point, hopefully, we'll have early access binaries. Take them for a spin. Let us know what you see, where if you have any problems, or even if it's working, right? Because we sort of like hearing when things work as well.
Yeah. And now I'm thinking whether I should, I definitely shouldn't, but whether one could create in the operating system basically a wrapper that says, no, when the script tells you to run Python, don't actually run Python. Run Detroit. Run all of my scripts to Detroit.
That would be an
but given how many parts of my operating system depend on that going well, I'm not sure I want to do that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Michael, for being here.